Hey guys, Killenfire here, and in this video I will be showing you how to gear and spec your Restoration Shaman. As far as gearing goes, the main stat priority is Spirit, and then Resilience, Intellect, and PvP Power. As far as the secondary stats go, it's Mastery, and Crit, and Haste. So for all your gear, you want to reforge the secondary stats into Spirit, and as far as the trinkets go, I recommend using both Spirit trinkets along with the Battle Master. Another good alternative is to use the Dark Moon trinket. For the main pieces, I recommend going for the Mail Gloves because they are the only ones that give Spirit. It's the elemental ones. For the other four pieces, you should go for ringmail ones. The 4-set bonus is pretty good, and it's an aura mastery for 5 seconds, so definitely recommend that. Since we no longer need to gem or reforge into hit, just go straight out for Spirit. And as for rings, you should use the epic and the blue item, since you can stack the meditation ones. That's definitely the best thing to do. And now for talents and glyphs. RestoShaman's got a variety of talents in Mist of Pandaria, and but here's the general spec I use. I definitely recommend Nature's Guardian because it is a Battle Master trinket that gives you 25% HP every 30 seconds, and it's definitely the best choice out of the three. However, a Stone Bulwark Totem might be useful against teams that blanket you a lot, but the Absorb is dispellable as well. Astral Shift is a shield wall with a 2-minute cooldown. You should use it only if you are good at predicting switches onto you, since you cannot use it when you are stunned or silenced, so I should be aware of that. As for the second tier talents, Windwalk Totem is a freedom for your party members. Earth Grab Totem is definitely the best choice. It allows you to root enemies and slow them, and if you're playing with totemic projection, it also lets you root targets that are far away from you. As you can see here, you can relocate your totems and you get a free root for 5 seconds and then a slow. The Frozen Power talent gives you a 5-second root, but I do not recommend it. It's definitely the worst one. Totemic projection, I really love this tier 3 talent. I think it's on par with the Tremor Totem. As you can see, you can easily stun targets that are far away from you. AoE stun for 5 seconds, and along with root, it's really easy to control the enemies with this totemic projection. Totemic restoration gives you a half duration totems, so grounding is half cooldown, and Tremor Totem is a half cooldown. So basically how it works is if you put down a Tremor Totem and then you destroy the totem immediately with a macro, or by casting another area totem, or by totemic recall, you get half duration of Tremor. Call the Elements, I do not recommend it. Elemental Mastery is definitely garbage as well. Ancestral Swiftness is a nature swiftness every minute, and it also gives you a passive bonus. So this is definitely the best one for PvP, both in Arena and RBGs. You can use NSX or NS heals, so it's definitely the best. And Echo of the Elements is just for RBGs, but I still recommend the Ancestral Swiftness. For the level 75 talent, Healing Tide is definitely the best. You can use the totem when you're silenced, and it heals all your party members for a crazy amount of HP, amount of health. You can also relocate your totem, Healing Tide totem, far away from you, so that the enemies won't destroy it, or if your teammates are really far away. As far as the last tier goes, Unleashed Fury is definitely the best restoration choice. It's the only one, I guess, and it makes your Earth Living weapon really powerful. And I actually managed to crit 400k on a Warlock that was 0 health with Healing Surge with the Unleash weapon. So this is the general talents that you should use. And now the glyphs. So these are the three major glyphs that I recommend. Glyph of Purge. Your Purge dispels one additional magic effect. It's definitely really powerful against most setups that have any kind of HOTS or magic effects that need to be dispelled. So it's definitely one of the best glyph choices, both for Arena and RBG. The Healing Stream Totem is really powerful against spell cleaves. However, I do not recommend you to use it against melee cleaves, but for RBGs it's definitely the most important glyph. But sometimes you can replace it with the glyph of Ghost Wolf if you're against a melee cleave, and that glyph, with that glyph you are less hindered by effects that reduce your movement speed, so basically you cannot be really slowed. As far as the third glyph, I use the glyph of Capacitor Totem. It reduces the charging time of the totem by 2 seconds. I feel that it's really necessary to use this glyph because it makes it much easier to use the controlled stun. With the 3-second charging time, it's much easier to relocate the totem and control the other team much easier. Another alternative for Glyph of Capacitor Totem is the Glyph of Hex, especially if you're not playing with the totemic projection. I recommend using the Glyph of Hex. It reduces the cooldown of Hex by 10 seconds, but of course if you're playing against like a balanced Druid, Mage, and a RestoShaman, I wouldn't use the Glyph of Hex since it's dispellable. Glyph of Cleansing Waters is also a glyph that Shamans love to use, but since the spell is 8-second cooldown, you definitely should not use that glyph. The Spirit Walker's Grace increases the duration of your Spirit Walkers by 5 seconds, but it's not really good because it gets dispelled relatively quickly. The Water Shield glyph is not always useful, but sometimes you might want to switch to it if you have mana issues and you are getting trained. However, you would still prefer to use your Earth Shield on yourself, so that's a glyph that you would rarely use. The minor glyphs, as far as they go, the only good one is the Totemic Encirclement. It places 4 totems instead of 1, so it's easier to confuse the enemies with that glyph. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and I'll make sure to answer them. And in the future I'll be releasing videos of how to play RestoShaman in both Arena and Raid Battlegrounds with some useful tips and tricks. So subscribe, and see you in the next video.